So hi everyone. How is the feeling at the end of the day? Did you make sure to take some refreshment, the nice orange juice outside, so that you will be hitting to a topic that is a bit complicated, but I will try to make it easy, sweet, like you, since you are coming very late and trying to see what is this. So this is Dr. Manar. This is a winning proposal that we got from Dubai Electronic Security Center, along with the American University of Sharjah and myself coming from University of Sharjah, with my colleague Dr. Qassim. Nasir, please raise your hand up. So we got, because we have to deliver two speeches today, so I told him, I will do this, you will do the one which is the later one, to make sure that I have higher audience number than him. So we're both are leading the research group at University of Sharjah, Open UAE, and basically this is also with the TRA that are leading the efforts for the open source in the UAE, and hopefully we'll have a global positioning as well. So before getting to the hot topic of what is the infrastructure that is using blockchain for the IoT devices, so many the things in one title, I thought it could be really good if I introduce the blockchain technology. What is that? I'm sure that you have heard about it, but maybe technically or from the point of view of a normal reader or audience, you might not know what is it exactly. So speaking from the World Economic Forum, they have to predict that blockchain will become a beating heart of the global financial system. And suddenly you started to hear so many advantages, and people, they started to talk. It is reducing the cost, reducing the human errors, highest degree of accountability, enhanced security, and no single point of failure. But actually, you don't know what is a blockchain. Okay, it does so good things, so beautiful things, but what is a blockchain? So I always tell them it is a block and it is a chain. And you put the blocks chained with that chain. So what does that mean? The label, as it says, it is really blocks, and it is combined with a chain of these blocks. And these blocks are information that you put it, and these information are stored in a certain way, which are chained. So let's take an example so that bring this closer to your understanding. Do you have properties? I'm sure you do. Some of you have cars, others have houses, and some have lands, and some have stock it in the market. So basically, how do you register them? Usually you would have a centralized authority that will make sure that this is registered by your name, and it is officially belong to you as an asset. So once you decide to sell this asset, you need to go to a central authority, and this is for obtaining two objectives: to make sure that this asset it really written and officially belonging to that seller, and then the other objective is to make sure that this will be transferred to the buyer, and it will be officially now done, protecting the rights for the seller and the buyer. Now, in the blockchain, this is not there. The central authority is not there. And this is good by itself, because this will save your efforts, your money. You will not go waiting for a long line, trying to have your turn to register, and sometimes it is not officially registered, some errors, a few things. So basically, by doing that, blockchain, which is decentralized, you are able to remove that third party, and you will be able to sell and buy from any part of the world. And basically, it is distributed. That means, let's imagine that Dr. Qassim is buying a land, and this is will be stored in a block as an information. And maybe Masa will be buying a house, and this will be also stored in another block. And then Ahmed al-Kitbi will buy a car, and then it will be stored in another block. So basically, all of these are distributed as a block of information of this type of a transaction. And just imagine that this transaction could be trillion of them be done through the network, and this will be distributed in that network. Coming back to the technical terms, so if you don't have the networking background, but actually the blockchain is coming from the terminology of nodes, consensus, and contracts. So basically, let's understand and map the blockchain terminology to this. So basically, as you would know, if you have the networking background, the node is any computer that would be connected to your network. And this computer that would be serving as a client will be able to validate and relying these transactions happening in the network. Now, according to the blockchain, these computers, when it gets connected to the blockchain network, automatically the blockchain itself will be downloaded to each of these nodes that would have all the transactions saved in that ledger. And in terms of consensus, if back also to the networking, the technology or terminology, it will be the algorithms that you will write it in the distributed computing, because you are trying to check or to get audited itself every 10 minutes or every specific timing. And also you need the smart contract. We know that the contract, by it is what it says as a label. We need to make a contract between two parties to make sure that you are doing the by laws and the policies. And here to make it smart is to make not only the by laws, but you enforce them to make sure that they are done in a legal way and it is executed in a good way. So these terminologies are related to the blockchain. So the scenario is, you will send a request, which is the transaction that is happening to the network, which is here. And then the nodes will be receiving that request and validated and self-audited. And once it is approved, it will be chained and added inside the block according to this one. And then it will be complete and accurate. Some history, and these slides are from my PhD student, Ahmed Al-Kitbi. So for the blockchain history, it is nice to be able, it is different than shown here. So I will put it back. He did a nice slide that shows the history for the blockchain, and I am using it in this presentation to let you know what's happening. So basically here you have the Bitcoin. People, they get confused. They think that blockchain is Bitcoin, but actually Bitcoin is an application of the blockchain. So basically, they are not, blockchain is not Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin is an application for the blockchain. And through the history, the Bitcoins started in 2008 with our friend Satoshi. So basically, through the recent last 10 years, it started to have a growth, and it is an open source, which is one of our directions in our research group. They have, through the last few years, have been growth, and it has been lead to have an eye-opener for the blockchain investment. So basically, you would see that in recent years, which is 2015 here, that in Singapore, they did the first application of distributed ledger that was for the trade finance invoicing. Then Estonia, they did it for the e-residency program. And then IBM, they opened the center in Singapore, and they had created the blockchain forum. And then Dubai, they announced the blockchain strategy. And that's why you see it in the newspapers a lot, that they release the Dubai blockchain strategy and they start to implement it in some of their governments. Who applied rather than Dubai? Many countries, and also I will show some use cases for them. So basically because it's different from the laptop. So in Estonia here, they keep it for the record keeping, for the birth certificates, marriage arrangement, land titles, and so forth. And for the Dubai and Honduras, they have it for a proof of land ownership. And for the Denmark, they have the voting system, and they apply it for the healthcare also in Dubai and in Estonia. It's good to see that it is trying to be grown as a use cases. It is still have limitations, and we are happy that it has limitations because it will make a researcher work harder and to have something that they can look at it. So basically, we need to measure all of these quality attributes and metrics, where we need to handle the scalability, since many transactions happening, trillion, big number of them. So we need to see and to evaluate the performance after this a huge amount. Also, we need to see the security part. We need to see the other aspects of reliability of these blockchain. Blockchains can be hacked, although it is giving cheap, faster, and secure solutions, but still they are a target of the hackers. So coming now to my topic, which I will make it very short, we got this proposal winning from Dubai Electronic Security Center, and it is to apply the blockchain as infrastructure to manage the IoT devices, again, to have decentralized security and privacy. This is the infrastructure that we have introduced, and it is basically that we have the blockchain as infrastructure, where the end user can manage the end devices of the IoT devices. And basically, this will be done with a middle layer with a gateway that will be each gateway managing a group of IoT devices. So we have many users here. We have the blockchain administrator, which is this one. So what he does, he will add, he will delete, he will update the users, he will manage the privacy policies for them, and we will make sure that he will create the device registry for that linked users. And then we have the gateway administrator, which are these. And as I said, they will be controlling the group of IoT devices, creating the smart contracts for the gateway, the devices, and link between both of them. And since we are using Hyperledger, the smart contract is called the chain code in the Hyperledger. And then we have the end user. The end user who will be interacting and with the IoT devices, he will not see the blockchain, he will not see the gateway. All his concern is to be able to handle the end IoT devices and to do the good things that he can of controlling these devices, turning on, off, and control specific functions for specific applications. In our case, we are doing for the home smart application. So what we did, the research group, we put the IoT, the smart IoT devices, which are here, the IB camera, smart thermostat, the vacuum, smart vacuum. So we put some of them so that we can get them connected as nodes inside the blockchain network through the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth. And then we got the gateway from Dell, our friend Dell, with this requirement. We can also have or run the experiments using the gateway as in our laptop. This is for the hardware. For the software, we got the options to control the IoT devices through one of these open source software. And then for the architecture of our software, as I said, we are using Hyperledger, which is an IBM and Linux foundation. Who created this, and we are using it. It's not like Ethereum open and public, but it is restricted to the network members only, so they get registered to the blockchain and they started to be interacting. So our smart contracts will be, as I said, handling the smart contract for the IoT devices, the users, and link them between them and put them in the registry device. And we have also smart contract to be handled for the security, where we need to detect the abnormal behavior inside the network. So basically, kind of to capture the idea of the access policy smart contract. That means we need to have the information about our IoT devices, some attributes. If I take example of a smart plug, so the attribute will be power, the values will be on and off. Who are the users? So we need to link the privacy things, which users can handle which IoT devices, and if they are allowed or if they are not allowed. And then combining all of these access policies, we will put them in one DRC, which is the device registry, and then That would be the scenario for one of the, using the blockchain infrastructure, that the gateway as a node will be sending or creating the access policy to the blockchain network. And they will start to send the transaction, and then they will obtain the address for that access policy. And then that network will be asking the administrator to add it to the registry device chain and inform again the blockchain network about it and that DRC. And thank you. These are the references. I hope I made it short and sweet as I promised from the beginning of the seminar. Questions?
Thank you, Dr. Manar. Any questions from the room? Yes. One moment, wait for the microphone.
Hi, my name is Deepa.
Hi, Deepa.
Thank you, Dr. Manar, for the very sweet talk.
Thank you.
So, actually, my question is, what kind of consensus will you be using for the IoT blockchain? Like, if it is Hyperledger, I think they are using practical Byzantine's fault or fault tolerance. Is it the same you will be using, or it will be your own consensus, you will be developing it?
Yeah, for the consensus is in Hyperledger is not, we don't have mining algorithms. So basically all the transactions are handled by the smart contracts. That makes it easier for us. And this is one of the options that we didn't choose Ethereum to go to not use that algorithms for the updating. So we are handling everything using the smart contracts, the chain codes. This is actually an advantage of Hyperledger over the Ethereum.
Okay, and one more. Actually, the basic blockchain protocol for the Bitcoin, it doesn't have an encryption layer. So the transactions are, it provides pseudo anonymity. Transactions are transparent. But in case of IoT, the data are sensitive. So do you have, is there any encryption layer or some other solution?
You want to answer or I will answer? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, for IoT, yeah, you are right. I mean, if you look at the system carefully, it's managed by smart contracts. Well, even the registration, the allowed IoT devices that has been happening, and who is using them and who is not using them, and what kind of information that can be transferred and so on and so forth, is completely managed by the blockchain infrastructure. And that's the beauty of the system that we propose. But if you mention about the encryption and the data sensitivity of the IoT devices, if you look at the structure well, there is a gateway in the middle. And we rely on the gateway. And that gateway will do, what kind of the other lower layer, encryption or security encryption that can be done. The other point, I know the gateway is a problematic here in the infrastructure. We got many complaints about using the gateway.
It will be central point of failure.
Yeah, so we know that this is like a problematic way, and that's why we try, and we didn't put the actual structure to include the gateway as a part of the blockchain. So we will have the gateway will have two faces. Two faces means not two faces like so one face that is look like a blockchain and the other face look like a gateway. So we are working with the American University of Sharjah where they are doing that part to use what's called edge devices, and those edge devices is doing a lot of the work which is like IoT needs, but the other part will be done from our infrastructure.
We can apply intrusion detection also, IDS, so that we can capture the abnormal behavior that could happen. So it could be handled with the IDS plus the smart contract for the handling. We called it here judge chain code to handle the part of the security.
Okay, thank you. And last one more. Since
you got a high interest on this, yeah. we can make you joining our project.
Thank you. Actually, before choosing the Hyperledger, have you compared it with the IoTA, the Tangle, similar like the similar blockchain, the Tangle consensus for IoTA? It is specifically for the IoT devices.
I could not get your actual question. How it looked like? You mentioned there are alternative, yeah?
Actually, there is a Tangle consensus. IoTA, it is specifically for the IoT blockchain. It works not exactly like the blockchain, but similar, but in a decentralized manner with a similar consensus. So just a comparison, if it before choosing Hyperledger, I'm just asking if you have compared it with IoTA.
Actually, we are working on Hyperledger.
Fine.
That's the brand. No? That's in the Dubai. Most of the Dubai electronic governments they work on Hyperledger as a stamp. So we're using Hyperledger. We try, to avoid the problems in the IoT, lightweighted and sensitive data by using that. But for sure, there are other alternative solutions that you mentioned. And even there is a special protocol for IoT with a blockchain. There are so many alternatives. And if you give you the proposal that we submitted, there's about 5 pages just for all the references that has been used for in the infrastructure. But we choose the Hyperledger with the difficulties that has it. It has it by itself. But we choose it, make sure that with whatever there are weaknesses, to support it here and there to make a nice solution.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That were a couple of very good questions. Also one of my concerns, like whenever you have this smart lock and a public ledger, and people will see that there hasn't been any transaction on the smart lock for a week, they probably know I am at this conference in Dubai. So good things to think about, that not only encrypting data is a good thing to do, but also when no transactions happen, that also reveals information. Those are good things to think about. I want to thank you for your talk today.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you all back.